Ty Bartel, Anthony Hartwig with another edition of Coach's Corner. This time we head into the NE8 boys side of the hoops edition with head coach Michael Wernicki of the Struthers Wildcats. Coach, how we doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're not doing too bad ourselves, Coach. You talk about the Struthers Wildcats, and obviously the football success that the team's having. You're never gonna not want that, right? But that's also gonna take a little bit away from basketball practices. But nonetheless, you guys are still having them. From what you've seen from practices and the guys you do have, what are they looking like for you?
Well, right now it's obviously different. I've got 6 or 7 guys that are currently with football, and obviously we're all excited here, about their success and the season that they're having, being that this is the deepest run that they've made in the playoffs. So it's very exciting, in the building and around here, and that's part of the deal in Northeast Ohio when it comes to this time of the year. The better success that football has, it kind of puts us in a little bit of a difficult spot to start the year. But what it does allow is it allows for guys to get extra reps that maybe wouldn't get them right away. We have a very, very young and inexperienced group coming back. This is the first year in my tenure that I have no returning starters. So every day is kind of an open book, and we're evaluating each day as we go along. We've got about 9 or 10 kids that have been with us, and that's a mix of primarily freshmen and sophomores and a couple juniors. So it's been exciting to watch those younger kids kind of find their way a little bit. But with all that to be said, we've kind of tempered what we've done on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. We don't want to give them too much too early and then have to reteach everything when our roster does come complete. So I am optimistic about the group. We've got a lot of hungry, competitive younger kids. The one thing about high school basketball, if you're going to have really, really elite success, meaning win league championships and district championships and so forth, it's difficult to do with guys who haven't been there before. My first year here, I had a lot of talent, but they were all sophomores and juniors and hadn't, experienced a lot of minutes throughout the league. And, we struggled a little bit. And then that group came back the following year and won 22 games. So, there's a lot to be said at the high school level about experience and guys that have been through the battles. But, we're going to do the best we can. We might be a little shaky earlier, but, I am very optimistic and confident that by the time we get to, the first couple weeks of January, that we're going to be very good.
Coach, like you said, this football success has given you the chance to give kids that wouldn't normally get reps a lot more reps in these first couple of weeks of practice. What is that going to do for your team as far as depth is concerned? I mean, God forbid an injury happens or maybe an illness or for one reason or another, maybe a kid's unavailable. You're going to have guys that have been through the reps and if you've been able to see go right into the game. What's it going to do for you for depth?
It still remains to be seen. There's depth in practice, and then there's depth in games. And even though everybody's getting a lot of reps right now, I've got a number of guys that this is their first go around as far as experiencing high school basketball. So they look good at times in drills and some of the things we're doing in practice. But when when the lights come on and you're asked to compete against juniors and seniors at the varsity level, that takes on a totally different persona. So, I'm hoping that these reps are something we can put in the bank as we get into January and February. And, as other teams maybe fatigue a little bit and don't have as much depth, maybe that helps us, be fresher and have an extra lineup to maybe throw at some teams as we go down the stretch, towards the playoffs. But, we're kind of keeping it as, our expectations are high as a group, but we're not putting too much on each individual kid's plate right now.
We know that, that field house, the lights get brighter than most. So bright lights for sure, but brighter lights in the field house.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Coach, I want to go into that team a little bit. I mean, you talk about some of the guys you're going to be having, some of the guys you expect to have from football as well. What are some names Wildcats fans need to get familiar with this upcoming basketball season?
Well, I have 3 seniors that have been with me now going on their 4th year, and they've kind of, put their time in as far as, coming through the freshman and junior varsity programs, and played a lot of minutes as juniors last year on the varsity and JV. I'm sorry. Grady Moore, I'm expecting a lot of as my returning point guard. Andrew Kopnicki is a wing, and Lucas Patty is a wing. Those are 3 guys that played some tremendous minutes on the junior varsity, and I'm anticipating big things from those guys. We've got some younger guys that are coming up. Sincere Miller and John Delastrada are 2 other guys that I'm expecting to make big contributions this year. After that, everybody is kind of fighting for those other minutes, and we're kind of eagerly looking to see who's going to fill what role. But even with the guys that I mentioned, they're still figuring out what their role is going to be. We're not sure with some of the positionally things, because we've got some guys that are kind of versatile. They can play different spots. So we're not kind of solid yet on where guys are going to fall out as far as positions or minutes. But those 5 guys are names of guys that, people will be hearing on a regular basis in the field house this year.
Coach, let's talk about your conference that you play in as we dive into your schedule. This NE8 last year was so competitive. It seems like it is every year. What are you expecting out of it this year?
You know what? I'd be lying if I told you I had an idea of what this league's going to look like. This is the first year that we're really in flux. And what I mean by that is, Jefferson is not in the league anymore. So we ended up having to schedule 2 more non-league games to make up for that, because we did not replace them. We've got a number of new coaches. Niles has a new coach. Lakeview has a new coach. Hubbard has a new coach. South Range has a new coach. The old man in the group here is Craig Hannon. And the hard thing to believe for me is I'm second, and this is only my 6th year. So, obviously Poland's got Coach Fender back, but there's going to be a lot of new faces in this league this year. We lost some really good seniors throughout the league. And, with all the new coaches, the styles are going to be different. So I'm not really sure what it's going to look like. I know it'll be competitive, but I have no idea what it's going to look like.
Losing 2 conference games is unfortunate, but it does provide opportunity on the other side of that with the non-conference slating, giving you guys a different look at what other teams can do and different challenges. Out of the non-conference games, what are some games you're excited about just to challenge your boys against, and what kind of challenges they present?
Well, we open up with a very good Cardinal Mooney team on the road, so that'll be a very, very big challenge for us right off the bat. Kerry does a wonderful job with his group, and he's got a lot of guys back that have played significant minutes, from a team that won a lot of games last year. So that's going to be a difficult one. We have Canton Central Catholic coming into the field house. That's a team that I'm not real familiar with, but they've had a lot of tradition as far as being good. Camel's a team that, we're going to continue to play, being so close. They've put together a bunch of good years, and they've got a lot of guys coming back from last year. So those are some of the groups that we have. Howland again, who's, again, been very successful over the last couple of years, actually put us out 2 years ago in the sectional final here in the field house. So, I'm excited about the schedule. I would rather have an extra, 2 league games, because it's very difficult, number one, scheduling, but number 2, adding 2 more non-league games. It's, scheduling is not easy. And now that the computer rankings come into play this year, that really changes things. The OHSA didn't do us any favors. They gave us the computer rankings after the schedule was already done. So, most schools weren't able to, accordingly plan for that, but, we'll see how that plays out this year.
Coach, I also want to give you the chance to talk about your coaching staff and the people that are behind you making this Struthers program what it is. We know you get the interviews, you get the limelight, you get the credit, you get the blame when things go wrong or bad. But, you have a lot of people behind you. You have a lot of people that are in your corner doing all the work, doing a lot of work for you. Talk about your staff and who you got beside you.
Yeah, I've got a really good staff. I've been very blessed since I've been here. Staff continuity has been has been something that has been a staple in our program since I've been here. This is the first year that I do have a couple changes. DJ Aldish, one of my longtime assistants, is the new head coach at Lowville. So that is an unbelievable opportunity for him. He's going to be tremendous down there. And he's kind of going through the same thing as I am right now with their success in football, but he's going to do really well. And, you're always blessed when your assistant coaches move on to take head coaching jobs. Jason Pangio is another one that had been with me for a bunch of years. He got a good opportunity over at Cardinal Mooney. So I will get a chance to see him right off the bat in our first game. But Chris Cole has been with me for many years now. And he's kind of he's my rock. I bounce everything off of him, and he's a wonderful person. The players love him, and he's been a very good asset for me since I've been here. Brian Garkar, who some people may know him as the head boys soccer coach at Poland, is also a varsity assistant of mine and does a tremendous job. He's very good with X's and O's and a lot of the film breakdown stuff, and he studies a lot of that, and he's huge to have. Luke Polito has moved into my JV head coaching position. Did a great job as the freshman head coach last year, and I'm very excited to watch him grow into that new role. He's been very good for me since I've been here. He had a lot of background. He's got a lot of good insights on a daily basis. Very committed kid, and he'll be a future head coach at a varsity program in the near future. My new freshman coach is a name that is a lot of people in the Valley should know. Jim Mullally, longtime head coach at Cheney a few years back, also the athletic director there. He has joined to take over the freshman job, but also, aid me with the varsity program. And I couldn't be more excited to have, him in that role. Another guy who's got a lot of experience, who can kind of bring some new ideas to my program and help me out. So my staff at this level is very, very strong, and I'm very blessed to have each and every one of them.
Coach, my final question for you today. It's the running theme of coaches this year. It goes back to the love of the game. It's that love that's got us into the game. It's the love that keeps us coming back to the game. Where did the love of basketball start for you? Do you have an earliest memory, a pinpoint time, or a time frame?
Man, for me, it goes back a long, long way. Growing up in Erie, anybody that knows anything about Erie, Pennsylvania, knows that the winters are pretty snowy. Spent a lot of time outside shoveling driveways and shooting with gloves on, and that's kind of how I got into it. And I was just blessed throughout my early years to have some really good coaches that taught me the game from an early level and challenged me and taught me how to compete and really, kind of lit a fire. At that time, I had no idea that coaching was going to be in my future. But as I continued to play through elementary school and then high school and then through college, it became pretty evident that I really had no other path. And, each year, to be honest with you, I get more and more excited each year about each group. I'm very involved in the learning process. And that kind of keeps me humble and keeps me hungry and keeps that fire burning. So I'm really excited about this group. I don't have a better story for you, but, just basketball's been, flowing through my blood since the earliest days. And I'm very excited about this group, and I'm fortunate that I'm able to coach and have a head coaching job and be here at Struthers.
Coach, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate it. We love watching Struthers basketball. We'll continue to watch it and cover it. And we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
No, I appreciate you guys and everything you do for not only our program, but all the programs, boys and girls in this area. I mean, you guys do an unbelievable service to everybody, and it really makes high school basketball something special here. And you guys are a big part of that. So thank you.
You're a big part of it as well, Coach. We thank you as well. This has been a first edition of Coach's Corner with the Struthers legend himself, Michael Wernicki.